What is up, geeks and geekettes? It's another episode of the Countdown to the Geekcast. My name is Ted, aka Steady. Joining me is the man behind the magic, you know him as Joe Garcia.
Hey, thanks for joining us, everyone. Can't wait to get into some of this geekly discussions with you and Maddie. And right before I pass it off to Maddie, cheers, Maddie.
Hey.
Don't get ahead of me. Don't get ahead of me. And then the other guy, my partner in crime, the one only Matty B.
I am super excited to be here. Obviously, me and Joe are feeling the Christmas spirit. I'm not sure what Ted's got going on over there, but we are feeling the Christmas spirit. We have 13 days until Christmas, guys. Okay, so I don't know what you're having. Let us know what you want for Christmas in there. Let's see if the wife or the kids are going to get it for you. But in the meantime, let's crack one. Cheers, Joe. And let's get it going.
Let's get it going. We got a great show for you guys. We're going to be talking about our continuing discussion on the Disney Plus Willow series. Has Joe come around to it? Is he starting to get a little interested? Stay tuned to find out. But first, we're going to be discussing our Geeky Weekly Headlines. And the first one is a big one. Please jump in the chat if you want to. Throw out your questions if you have some questions. But we would love to get some discussion going around on this. We're going to be talking about the DC Films news because there was a leak that happened last week. Let's get everybody caught up. There was a leak in the news. A lot of media outlets started running with it, talking about they're blowing up the DC universe. Everything's going fire sale. James Gunn's replacing everything, and we're here to be somewhat of a voice of reason for everyone, and also just let everybody know kind of what you can expect for sure. And then there's a lot of things that are still up in the air, so we should probably give a number of those things sort of time to sort of see where the cards lay, if you will. Joe says, I've been watching it. Nice. Willow, fantastic. Give us your thoughts, man. Are you enjoying it so far? Let us know. Big Joe. All right. Let's start off with some of the things that were discussed in this big DC universe blockbuster headline that dropped last week. Again, these were leaks, almost confirmed leaks to the press. The first one of which somewhat surprising in a way, but maybe for some you kind of saw it coming. Wonder Woman 3 apparently has either been put on the shelf as of this point or for now has just gone back to the drawing board. The only thing that's sort of been confirmed is that the pitch for Wonder Woman 3 wasn't really overwhelmingly didn't really get a positive overwhelming reaction from the executives over at Warner Brothers, and so Wonder Woman 3 may actually not move forward after all, unless maybe they can kind of start over and really put a solid plan forward. And also James Gunn, now that he's kind of into the mix, is probably going to be helping to build a more cohesive DC universe. Just take a step back real quick. James Gunn, he came out and said way before any of this happened last week, the plan is this: movies, TV shows, video games, all intertwined, all interwoven, a cohesive story moving forward, which is bold. Nobody's doing that. Nobody. Like Marvel, yeah, Marvel started like really going in and out of their series with their projects, but that didn't come around until phase 4, right? Like the first earlier phases, there was like little hints and things like that, but there wasn't a big massive crossover with those things. DC's trying to go movies, TV, video games, all intertwined moving forward. Let's just stop right there. Wonder Woman 3, I know that the first one is massive success, critically acclaimed across the board. Wonder Woman 1984, very mixed reviews. Didn't even get released in theaters because of the pandemic. But Joe, wanted to start with you, man. If they do not move forward with a Wonder Woman 3, Is that going to be disappointing for you, or should they at least try to keep Gal Gadot moving forward and keep her for maybe crossover projects or team up projects?
No, man, I think at this point they just need to go ahead and hit the reset button across the board, and that starts with Wonder Woman as well. I do like Gal Gadot. Don't get me wrong. I think she did a great, um, you know, as far as representing the character, I thought she did great. But I think it's time just to go ahead and have all new characters, all new actors, and move as far away from this hot mess as the studio can get. Let's be honest too. The sequel to Wonder Woman 1984, it was not that great, and I'm being perfectly honest with you. And that's been the thing that's really plagued the DCEU is the mediocrity. And I think just you're gonna have to say goodbye to some of these franchises that some of the fans have become enamored with, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to be for the greater good because you're going to have a better product. And I think taking a less is more approach is the way to go. Don't go ahead and just put out stuff, and have it all be bad. It's okay to go ahead and let a little time go by, but push out quality movies. That's how you compete with Marvel. Make the quality so good that it's going to take 3 or 4 Marvel movies to compete with the DCEU. I mean, you got to have the bar, you got to put it high, and I guess it's going to all start with what they do with Wonder Woman, but it just wasn't very good.
Gotcha, gotcha. Goods is in the chat saying, I think they were going to do that anyways with the Flash movie, though this is probably just restructuring of the DCEU. Yes, and we're going to talk about the Flash movie, which is still moving forward,
I think you need to
and
cancel that one, Teddy. Be honest with you, man.
they're
It's
gonna
not
they're
coming out. It's not coming out.
it's it's still coming out. Maddie B, your thoughts on Wonder Woman 3? Are you at all disappointed that we may or may not get it? Should they try and do whatever they can to keep Gal, because she's only had 2 solo films as Wonder Woman. She's also been in 2 other films, BVS and Justice League, the Snyder Cut. We're not going to count the theatrical one. So it's 4 projects as Wonder Woman. Should she have more going forward?
I mean, nothing against Gal. Her in Batman versus Superman, when she came in and saved Batman from getting taken out, that's one of the coolest scenes in DC movie history for me. I love that. It was so cool when she dropped in that moment. But she doesn't bring anything to the character that I think nobody else could bring. I don't see anything. She's beautiful, yes, and she's fierce, and but there's millions of people in LA who are striving to be actors and actresses. There are other people you can cast. I don't care what you say. And if I'm James Gunn, I don't want to come in and use the other chef's tools. I want to bring in my own knives. I want to bring in my own way of cooking things. And that's what he's doing here. The only person who is like really hard to replace in the Snyderverse is Henry Cavill. And
Yeah.
he's just such a typecast Superman. But every other one of those characters is easily replaced. And it's just important for Snyder fans to remember a time before the Snyderverse, before these castings. There's a lot of different options that we can go with in casting these characters. I think it's smart of James Gunn, if that is the intention, to move away from those things. A chef wants to use his own tools. The exiting chef is going to take his tools away when he leaves. So I think that it's the best way to go. We have to reset this universe. The Flash movie is not coming out. I'm still here saying that. It's you just got to move on. And I think that what we'll talk about a little bit later is, some things leaking before James wanted them to, but I think the overall intention is still the same.
Yeah, even with that Flash movie, even if it doesn't see the light of day as far as a theatrical release, I think DC should still release it, maybe just on HBO Max and for a very limited time, just to appease the fans that hey, this is a finished movie. But if the studio wants to make money, they're going to go ahead and cancel it and use the insurance money to make something better. It's just chalk it up to a learning experience and move on.
A
Yeah.
streaming service has to take on the baggage of whatever might come of this Ezra Miller controversy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
I
know
hear
if a
you. I
streaming
hear
service
you.
is going to want to pick it up. I don't. And so I think it's done. I think they're continuing to push it because Warner Brothers needs something on the slate, but I think they're working actively to replace it. and we'll see. But I've been on the Flash is never coming out train for a long time. I'm staying on the train. Um, I think that it's never going to happen, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I've been wrong
How do
a
you feel
lot of.
about this? I'm going to ask you and Maddie, Ted.
What's that? What's that?
How do you all feel about that rumor that came out about one of the projects that got cut was going to be a Michael Keaton led Batman Beyond? Man, that
You're
kind of
getting
hurt.
ahead of me. You're getting ahead of me.
That
Goddamn it.
kind of hurt, man.
It's unfortunate because it could have been a one-off. We have this Joker verse with Todd Phillips, where they're not tying that into anything else, and so you could have done a Batman Beyond, or you could the Robert Pattinson universe. That is the Reeves verse. Nobody's getting into that. He's not going to be crossing over with the Justice League, as far as we know. It's not expected, at least. So yeah, you could have done a Batman Beyond, separate universe. There's actually rumors now that the Keaton universe is the same as the Christopher Reeve universe. I don't know who's confirming that, but I read that just a few minutes before we started. So you could have had a separate universe, Batman Beyond. I had a great actor picked out. Forgot his name at the moment, but he was the one that played the most recent Beast in the X-Men movies. I'll look his name up in a second, but it could have been separate. It would have been great. Everybody's been talking about a Batman Beyond movie for like 20 years. It should have been a thing. You don't need Keaton to be your lead Batman in the current or main DCU timeline, and everybody would have been stoked. It would have been fantastic. You get to see a universe of Gotham in the future, more futuristic looking. It would have been fantastic. You could have really knocked it out of the park, and it would have been great. People would have loved it. It would have been a massive hit, close to $1 billion. But now we're left wondering, like, what's better than that, and I don't really know what it is. I'm gonna get into sort of the decisions and reasoning by which people are coming up with what might happen. I mean, these are all rumors again, right? So we haven't confirmed anything. James hasn't confirmed anything, but these are the rumors. Maddie B, your thoughts?
With Batman Beyond, it's a great animated series, and obviously I would love to see it translated to the big screen. But nah, I mean, I don't care. I much less need that movie than I need the DC universe to be reset. I think all talent and focus should be getting DC back onto its feet, and we'll get that movie. We will, and I'm okay with waiting for that. So I'm cool. I'm cool with that. Cancel everything and just start it fresh. That's my take.
The good said, let's just do a Marvel Comics battle world and just keep all the stuff we like and make a new universe. Could be. I still think that's the longest shot ever, is to get a DC and Marvel crossover, because you don't Marvel doesn't need anybody. Like, Marvel doesn't need to do this. It's not in Marvel's interest to cross over with any other franchises or IPs. And Marvel has 10 plus years of movies already on the board in the secret, like, conference room that they have 100 feet underground. I've heard of it. There's like legends and stories about it. So it's under lock and key and has Modoc guarding the front gate. Like, you can't get into it, but they don't have to do it. Will we ever get it? I think one day we will, but I'll be in my 50s or 60s, I think, by the time we get that. And Legacy Nerds also in the chat saying DC had a weird week. Yeah, they sure did. They sure did. Let's get into kind of the next big rumor that came out of last week, and that is that Man of Steel 2 may not be moving forward after all, which would also directly impact Henry Cavill. Again, these are rumors from leaks from an inside source that's unnamed, right? Anonymous source. What do I think about this? Well, if you have been following social media, including James Gunn, somebody actually asked him, because James was celebrating the anniversary of the original Superman movie featuring Christopher Reeve, and somebody asked James, well, like, hey man, so tell us, are you going to use Superman or not? And James says, yes, Superman is the priority, if not biggest priority of mine moving forward. So based on those words, Do I think Man of Steel 2 may not happen? I'm a little less confident in it not happening today than I was 2 weeks ago, but I still feel like there's so much anticipation and fan support for Henry to keep wearing the cape that he will still be involved in something going forward. Now, all these rumors are pointing the finger at James. Let's just get that clear and let's throw that out there. These are rumors, and they're really pointing the finger at James and his
No
buddy.
pun intended.
No pun intended, as the reasons why all of the shakeup, which again are unconfirmed. Warner Brothers and Warner Brothers Discovery, all the folks above James, they all want Henry. They all want Gal. They all want something of consistency to happen. So, part of these rumors are also saying that James is convincing the executives over at Warner Brothers Discovery that a big change or big shift, a reboot, if you will, needs to happen. But that's what we're all going to be waiting and seeing to see what happens. I still think Henry is going to stick around for some time. He's already done some some extra stuff. We saw the spoiler alert, the end credit scene for Black Adam, which wasn't the huge success that some folks thought it would be. But I still think that there's enough fan support for Henry to keep moving forward, and that's what I think about that. Joe, yay or nay? You need to see Henry stay. You need to get a Man of Steel 2.
I'm sorry, man, but again, clear reset across the board, and that even includes Henry Cavill. Keep consistency at the forefront, and if you're going to go ahead and start canceling all these other, let's say, projects that you had in the works, you're going to have to say bye to one Henry Cavill. And Black Adam was not going to be the savior of the DCEU, as everybody found out. That was a very mediocre movie as well. So just a clear reset, start from scratch, have a clear, concise game plan, a storyline, and know exactly where you're going to want to go, and that's how you're going to be able to compete with the MCU. I think DC is in a good position. They just need to make smart decisions from here on out, and unfortunately, some of the smart decisions are going to be fan favorites. But at the end, I think the fans will come around and like the product.
I completely agree. Legacy Nerd says theoretically Superman could legally be in a Marvel movie in like 3 years. You don't say. Matty B, what about you, sir? Do you need a Man of Steel 2? Do you want Henry to stick around for the time being?
I mean, I don't. I like Henry Cavill in the role. I think it's. I mean, he's a typecast Superman. It's just The Rock really screwed over Henry Cavill here, and the reason why I say that is because The Rock started to realize that this movie was going to flop about a month or two before the release, and we heard under rumors of him even trying to put in like concession deals into the ticket sales to make sure that it really sold. One of his biggest accomplishments, The Rock would say, before the movie came out, was getting Henry Cavill back on board to play Superman. And that big tease at the end was supposed to tip Black Adam over and make it a huge success. It didn't work. Black Adam flopped completely. The fanfare was not what they thought it would be. And I think The Rock kind of screwed Henry there by getting him in so early before the new guard had taken over. And due to the bad reviews, the bad numbers, the loss of potentially up to $100 million that Black Adam had, and then now the canceling potentially of that sequel, Henry's done. And it's just I think he should not have listened to The Rock there. We talked about this months ago, and I've been pretty consistent on this topic. The Rock was never the one to lead this. DC was flailing and needed a big name to hopefully, drive some numbers, and it just didn't do that. And unfortunately, he took Henry down with him a little bit.
I think that maybe not exhaustion. People lose interest about things over a certain period amount of time. I think Black Adam took way too long to come out. If the announcement had come out and that movie would have dropped like 3 years later, maybe 4 years later, fans would have still been hype about it because The Rock's a good choice for it, but just the hype sort of died out by the time it dropped, and I don't think it's any fault of Dwayne Johnson's, but I definitely think that there could have been a better story um, regarding this entire release. It ultimately might break even, according to some reports that have been released this week. So that's a small win, but it was nowhere near the expectations when you're putting a guy like Dwayne Johnson, Pierce Brosnan, all these big names and these big characters that they were dropping in this movie. Also, like, you got to have a solid villain. You look at all the comic movies that really succeed. What do they all have? Like a formidable foe to go up against. And this one, there just wasn't any hype. You want to see the battle. You want to go to see what your heroes are up against, and this one, it just didn't really match up well in that regard. Let's see. Goods still in the chat. Let's catch up on these comments here. No, no, no. He says, I mean the Secret Wars storyline where they combine all their multiverses. Ah, yes, for sure, for sure. They better do Man of Steel 2 after Cavill left The Witcher. Yeah, wouldn't that be unfortunate if after all that, leaving The Witcher production, which he still might have done anyways, because apparently, like, it wasn't really, he wasn't really interested in what was happening going forward. So for him, it was kind of just the right time all around. Legacy Nerd says if they got rid of Henry, the studio would lose him forever. Would be a complete slap in the face. I completely agree. I don't know how you keep a guy like that around after all of this nonsense. Good says after the Peacemaker series, I believe in all things James Gunn. Funny you should mention that. If these rumors hold true, Peacemaker might be one of those things that doesn't really stick around. But I agree with you. James Gunn is a fantastic storyteller. We talked, nonstop about the holiday special for Guardians of the Galaxy, how much we all enjoyed that. And that was just what, 45 minutes of just rampant fun and jokes and action. Like, yeah, he can do a number of things that he wants to. And it sounds like he's just really trying to put a big plan together, and you might have to break some eggs to make this omelet. Good says they said they cut out the rest of his cameo scenes going forward from Aquaman and the Flash. Yes, rumors for sure. Rumors are they might not include Henry in any of the projects coming out next year. But it's not for sure. I'm telling you, it's not for sure right now. They haven't decided. They are considering things. There's been test screenings for all these movies, and they're working with a number of different ways of handling things and kind of seeing how they pan out. And I don't know how I feel about that. Just come up with a solid plan. I really think that they should kind of put a nice bow tie, a nice end chapter for all these other characters that they've been having for a while. And then, yeah, massive reboot after that. Good says, boo, no more cast reboots. I'd give up if they totally start over. You wouldn't be alone. You wouldn't be alone. I really liked the Black Adam movie. I agree. Black Adam took way too long to come out. Rob C. Think we know who this guy is. Rob C says Spider Man rules and will kick everyone's ass. For those of you guys who might not have been following us since the beginning, that is original Geekcaster OG Robert Kalunga. David Lozano says, break them eggs. Oh, what's up, Dave? Good to see you, buddy.
I think one of the major takeaways from this week, though, is James Gunn had trigger fingers turned to Twitter fingers. He he likes to hype up stuff, and he's a bit of a troll. And it turns out there might be a mole in the camp, and he tried to slam dunk on the fan base. I don't think that that's good. That's not a Kevin Feige move. That's a very specific James Gunn way of handling his business. I disagree with it. It's the creators, it's the the podcasters, the streamers, who really are the free marketing budget for these studios, and they really do put hype behind these movies, and they get people excited about them. I don't like him coming out the way he did against Den of Nerds, especially because I follow Den, and he's a really good guy, and I don't think that that's what we want from a guy. We need you to get a little bit more Feige, hop behind the scenes, and make good product. We don't need you Elon Musking all over Twitter and just spouting whatever you want to spout, or slam dunking on who you want to slam dunk on. That's not what we need you for. We need you to use your expertise and your knowledge to make us a better product, and that's what we want James focused on, not slam dunking on creators.
You have some support here. David Lozano says, I agree with Matt. James Gunn should not be trying to slam the fans. To be fair, this was a scooper in the media. I think if you come out with a story and you stand by that story, you are putting yourself up for people involved with that story to discredit what you're saying. And I think that's fair game. If I said something tomorrow about Kevin Feige or James Gunn, and it was completely false. If they called me out on it, egg on my face. If it's not
For
true at
sure.
all. So
If it you said keywords there. You said
if it's not true,
if it's completely false.
right?
We know we've been following these folks for a long time, and we know for the most part they're usually right about these things. It seemed more like James got called out and wasn't really prepared for the fact that there may be some information that's leaking from what he's doing, and he like sort of childishly reacted to it. That's what it looked like to me. It
He
was
was
that
he was
what was being
tagged.
said was right.
He was tagged. Somebody tagged James and said, "Hey, can you debunk?" They use that word because James is notable for just completely debunking some stories about him. If he doesn't do it, fine. But all the big scoopers, the biggest names on Twitter, way bigger than anybody else, he's gone out there and completely said the opposite of what is being said about him, or about a movie, or about a project, and he's just willing to do that. He's kind of plugged in a way when it comes to that. Let's kind of keep moving and talk about Black Adam too. There actually may be a reason why all of these stories leaked when they did. Black Adam was in the was in the news a lot about how it wasn't really making anywhere that it was expected to, and if you ask around, some folks are actually thinking all of these leaks regarding a complete reboot or a complete overhaul of the DC universe are all stemming from somebody in Dwayne Johnson's camp. I'm not claiming that. I don't have the inside scoop like that, but there are some trades out there, some big media outlets that are claiming these leaks may have come from somebody in Dwayne Johnson's camp, and the reason because he's no longer sort of a focal point, and Black Adam 2 might actually not be moving forward. If it was in development before, right now it's sort of just up in the air. They're not really sure what they're going to do with it, but whatever the DC universe is going to look like moving forward, it may or may not have Dwayne Johnson as the top of the hierarchy. What was the line, Joe?
They're gonna change the what do you say, the hierarchy in the DC universe has
The
changed. Is
power,
what
the hierarchy of
Yeah,
power, or something like that.
yeah, it has
Uh,
changed.
I already know this answer, Joe, but I'm asking you anyways. If Black Adam 2 doesn't move forward, are you going to be disappointed by that at all?
No, I don't even think it should move forward after the abysmal, uh, you know, I guess take at the box office that was Black Adam. It was very disappointing, and as you stated, came out too late. Just felt rushed and not a very quality product. And unfortunately, The Rock's acting repertoire was on full display. He has the personality of cardboard when it comes to acting. That's his range. So no fault on him. I'm sure he's a great human, but acting not a strong suit for him. He's just there, fill out the suit. That's about it.
I
Man, it'd
agree.
be the same question, man.
Yeah, there's no depth. We talked about it before. It even came out when we were trying to get hype for the movie. Um, the Rock is just the Rock, and no matter what he's playing, he's just He's just the Rock. That can't be a character that you drive to move forward. It was never going to be anything other than that. And I wasn't disappointed because I didn't have high hopes. Um, I'm not. I mean, for example, it has an HBO Max release on December 16th. Um, it's just barely out of the theaters. It's already on HBO Max. For example, Wakanda Forever that released just shortly after, there's going to be lines out of even like Walmart's trying to get the DVD of this thing, even though people don't really even have DVD players anymore. It's kind of becoming a lost art, but people are going to want it and they're going to want to have it. This thing's coming out on HBO Max just in case you want to watch it. No, it doesn't need to move forward. The Rock needs to exit this universe, in my opinion.
David Lozano says, it feels like Gunn is going to scrap everything we thought was going to happen. Let's talk about this now. What do we know for sure and what do we not know? And I think we will get some sort of word probably early on in 2023, right? For example, I already mentioned the Warner Brothers Discovery executives. They all like the Trinity. They like Ben. They like Gal. They like Henry. They want star power to be in and out of the DCU. I talked about it when like David Zaslav came on board. He wants one of those three referenced or shown in like every movie. And so we have a number of movies coming out next year. Blue Beetle, Aquaman, and the Lost Kingdom, which is the sequel, The Flash, and then I know there's another one I'm not talking about right now. But all of these movies, oh yeah, and Shazam 2. All of these movies have a rumored cameo reference to the Trinity. I mean, we saw the Trinity reference in the Shazam 2 trailer. Like that's how much they want those three to be sort of the focus going forward. Those guys are always out there, and we will see them often to kind of keep interest moving forward. Um,
Rob is in rare form.
hang on. Let me get through this. Let me get through this thought first. Um, so the need from the executives to have star power, especially the Trinity, going forward, in and out of the movies, I think is still there. Is James going to completely recast all of them? I don't think he wants to. I think that he's still debating what his future is going to look like after 2023 because all these movies are set. Shazam to The Flash, Aquaman 2. All of these movies already have rumored cameos, and I think some of them you're not going to be able to take out. I think they were put in there for very solid reasons, especially The Flash, which has had probably the most reshoots out of all these movies. I think like you are stuck now with your current plan, and that plan you have to kind of move forward with it. And people who are saying like the Flash is going to change everything, the Flash is going to reboot everything. The Flash comes out in June. Aquaman 2 comes out on Christmas. And that's the one that we already know Ben Affleck was on the set of because what's it called? Aquaman, forget his name now. He took photos with Ben on the set of Aquaman 2 and said, "Oop, cat's out of the bag. We'll see what happens now, but we can't hide it anymore." Jason Momoa, that's what I was thinking of. So I think that for 2023, I think everything's going to hold the same. They might try and change the plan starting in 2024. James probably has this big grand idea, but he's also going to want to make sense of the story going forward. So if we get a complete overhaul of the DCU, he's going to try and make it either seamless or just coherent to do so, and the story will have to do so. It just won't be a flip of a switch and then magically everything's changed. All the actors are different. Like all the heroes are different. We're now in a multiverse or something like that. I feel like these are all thoughts and these leaks are all plans that may or may not happen like years down the road. But we're putting so much effort and so much anxiety on the now. And I think as fans, we need to take a step back. These are changes that are years down the line. And they're, as we already know, things can change all the time. Plans can change, movies can change, Matt thinks the Flash is going to come out in like 6 months, and it might not. But for right now, it's still
No, I don't think it's going to come out.
it's. That's what I said. That's what I said. But for right now, it's still up there, and I think that's still the plan going forward. So, what fans should do? Wait and see. I think James is toying with some ideas. I don't think they're set in stone yet. He did say, some people are going to be happy, some people are going to be upset about some of the things that he's deciding to do, but ultimately, I think we're still going to get one last hurrah with Ben, Henry, Gal moving forward, and then 2, 3, 4 years down the road, expect the DCU to look completely different, and that's going to be okay because I really like James Gunn as a storyteller, and I think all the fans will be happy going forward. All right, let's get on these crazy chat comments. Worldwide, Black Adam is at 389 million. Could still save itself. I think it's close to really breaking even.
Yeah.
Rob says, I think we know what The Rock is finally cooking. Shit. Total shit. For the record, I haven't seen it. I only watch quality films. Ooh, but how do you
Oh,
know
like
it's quality if you don't watch it?
well, for Rob's quality film, just to let everybody know, full disclosure, one of
Uh-oh.
his favorite films is the original Ant-Man. We'll
The
leave it at
best.
that.
The
The
best.
best.
He said the best. There you go. Rob, I'm actually curious. What is the last comic book movie you've seen, Rob? Just a question. I'm not gonna rag on you for it or anything. David says Wakanda Forever will be on Disney Plus late this year, early next year, according to Collider. Very nice. Excited about that. Legacy Nerd says the most staged thing ever was when that tour bus went past the trailer where Ben Affleck was on Aquaman. Yeah, you could be right. It probably was. David says Jason Momoa probably going to be Lobo now, according to the streets. So that all stemmed from Jason getting really excited. He went on Instagram Live and talked about a future project that was a dream come true to him. And before he was ever Aquaman, before we knew who he was going to be, I said I would have picked him for either Lobo or Vandal Savage. I feel like he could have pulled off a really solid Vandal Savage, but I mean, everybody thinks he's going to be a great Lobo. So if that's what he's talking about, fantastic. It could also be just a major DC team up movie that he's referring to. That's also a possibility. Good says Black Panther unfortunately benefited from Chadwick's death because I thought the second half of that movie was lackluster. Ooh, interesting.
Well, he's not
Interesting.
really lying. He's speaking the truth, man. I mean, the first act was good, but the second half, not so much.
Really? All right, all right. Legacy Nerd says if they were smart, they would turn this into a cinematic crisis event. They still might. They still might. David says, yes, Ted, the only constant is change. Goods agrees. Momoa would be the perfect Lobo. And David says Momoa seems like Lobo was his dream DC character to play. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Final thoughts on the leaks and the rumors regarding DC. Joe, what is it you absolutely want to see past 2023? Because I think these movies are set, and all we're left with is what the landscape might look like starting in 2024. So what do you really what do you really want after 2023?
Oh, one of the things that I'm really looking forward to, and I don't know if we've talked enough about it, is the Blue Beetle. I'm really looking forward to that and seeing the direction that they're going to go. I had high hopes for that because it's a representation of, the brown people, the brown skin, Latinos being up there in a high profile way. This is going to be the equivalent of our Black Panther. You know, and it's going to be great for the younger generation because they're going to have somebody that looks like them being represented up there on the screen, which I'm really excited about. So that's one of the things that I just can't get enough of. And then you have some of the posters, that have been shown on social media, and then you see, little leaks here and there of the costume and all that. So got high hopes for it, man. But I don't want to get too ahead of myself because we are talking about DC, after all. But interesting enough, not something that I'm looking forward to, but I want to see how the rest of these projects are going to pan out for them now that Gunn is in charge.
Yeah.
Are we going to see more cancellations of films that have already been announced. I would think so. So I want to see the direction that they're really going to go. Gun Talk's a good game, but now it's time for him to shut up and put up. And unfortunately, he's going to have to yank the rug out from some of the fans.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Matt, I see you shaking your head, but what is it you think is no, no, no. What do you want to happen post 2023 for DC?
Um, I just want them to cancel the Flash. I want them to cancel Aquaman 2. Jason Momoa is going to be Lobo. Um, and there's no sense in carrying on with these movies or storylines. It's a complete waste of time. And there's no other way to put it. It's a complete waste of time. We're moving on into a new creative space. We're moving on into a completely different arena. And the Snyder fans, you're just going to have to just rest your head on your pillow easy and know that you'll have a new character to love soon. But these things have to go. If I was James Gunn, I would be looking at the storyboard and being like, why would we release Aquaman 2? How in the world would that make any sense whatsoever to have that movie and then immediately restart over? I think the restart has to begin now, and that's what I hope that they do in 2023. No Flash, no Aquaman 2. I think both of those would be canceled, by the way. But
I
just a clean
you're
slate.
you're close to like $1 billion worth of budget with just those two movies alone. Like, I don't think any studio would take that big of a hit.
I don't. But what's a hit? They all take insurance. It's like it's there is no hit. All this money is imaginary. When you get to that level of money, it's imaginary. It's not even real numbers anymore. They just
They
make things up. And scarves cost $500. If $1 billion now between this one movie in particular is nothing compared to resetting and setting up a DC universe that could rival up there with Marvel. And we're talking way more money down the line. So sometimes you got to take a loss and move on. I also think that Warner Brothers might sell DC to NBC Universal. So I think that's still on the table as well because eventually they're not going to be able to take insurance deals anymore. And they're going to say, you need to relinquish the rights to this because it's a financial liability for you. So I think that 2023 and 2024 we're going to see a big shakeup. And I'm hoping for that. So we'll see what happens.
do you this is just a serious question. Do
Yeah.
you hire two executives to run your DC Films division if you plan on selling to another company? The-
Yeah, I
They're
think you give
taking
them
massive salaries right now.
again. That's all just made up numbers, and so it's that amount of money that's just it's not real. So it's like yeah, you see what you can do with it to try to maybe save this franchise that you own. Yeah, fine. And who's to say it's not in their contracts that they can't just dip if they sell it anyway? Maybe they'll sell it with their contracts intact. Um, that just because you sell a company doesn't mean everybody gets fired. So I think it's totally plausible that Warner Brothers is going to have to relinquish the rights. It's become too much of a financial responsibility for them, um, and they haven't done well with it. They've blundered so bad over the last decade or so that
The maintenance cost is real. Let's put it like that. They're losing money at this point. They got to go ahead and get off the sinking ship, Maddie, right?
They have to. And again, once you get up into that level of money, things just don't function like they do here. Those of us shopping at HEB, they're not real numbers. It's just if they sell the company to NBC, they could sell the contracts of the employees along with them. And there's nothing that says they can't do that. We don't know what those contracts look like, but um, I'm hoping for a complete reset. I want Warner Brothers to keep it. I honestly, when I watch DC stuff, especially Batman, and you get that Warner Brothers logo just right before it, I love that. It's nostalgia for me, and I hope that they keep it. But they have put themselves into financial ruins with this franchise. So I don't know how long they can keep it up.
I think we can kind of say like money at that level, doesn't really come across as much to them as it does to us. But all these people we're talking about, all these executives, they all answer to a higher power, and that is the board, the company board, the actual investors of the group. And money is very real to those folks. And so I think if you start off 2023, we're not even there saying we're going to take Aquaman, which probably cost them 2 to 250 million. We're gonna take Flash, which probably cost them 350 million because there's been so many reshoots and so many revisions. I think that's not gonna be okay. And those folks, all the executives that we're talking about, they all answer to the board, and the board can say whether or not you keep your job, and they can vote you out if things are going really bad. So as of right now, I think they're willing to kind of steer the course, see what 2023 looks like, and really make some solid decisions based on what happens. I think, movies like Shazam 2, Blue Beetle, the budgets are a little less. They'll probably make profits. The Flash for sure will make a profit, just probably not $1 billion movie worldwide like some people might be
You
expecting.
might have protests outside of those theaters.
You definitely might. I wouldn't doubt that whatsoever. And then Aquaman 2, the first one made $1 billion. I don't know if any studio has the balls to cancel a sequel of $1 billion movie. The Joker is getting a sequel because the first one was $1 billion movie. And so money talks, and the studios are going to greenlight anything that has that much money made from the first movie. David says the Blue Beetle poster looked legit. Are you referring to this one? Yes, it absolutely does.
I just want them to make the changes before Blue Beetle comes out, so that it doesn't get washed up into any potential changes that might happen. I just hope that they flesh out an idea before we get Blue Beetle, so that character can continue because we haven't seen him yet.
Yeah.
There's still time for script changes. There's still time for
Or
a
even
whole bunch of different
reshoots.
things. Yeah, so there's still a lot of time for them to deal with that character in the right way and not mesh them in with this old Snyder stuff that they're trying to get rid of.
Yeah, take out the cameos.
Yeah, because Blue Beetle, I mean, it's it's not the most known superhero of all time, but like Joe said, it's a huge representation for a very large contingency of the population of our country. It means a lot to have that representation there, and I don't want it to get mixed up in the mud of kind of where the Flash and the Snyderverse is now, even though
Yeah,
it may have been planned during that time.
yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing my culture and my peoples represented up on the screen.
Yeah, we gotta have it. Because Namor made such a big splash in Wakanda Forever.
Ted is 1%, 0.1% indigenous.
Um,
I probably
I,
am. Yeah.
I mean, he made a big splash. I mean, you're talking murals in different countries of this character, and that shows you how much it means to them. And I think the DC universe really needs to kind of step into that realm a little bit. Let's get some Latino representation up there, and
Yeah, I want to see the Blue Beetle eating some bean and cheese tacos, on his way to school, man. Keep it real, man. Wash it down with some Big Red.
Well, yeah, so it's like the Avengers. They get shawarma
Well,
when they're
hang on,
done,
hang
but the
on.
Blue Beetle has fresh tortillas and some beans and cheese.
Bean,
It's
bean and
it's
cheese and a Coca Mexicana. Drink a Coca Mexicana.
okay.
Yeah.
That's a little bit more realistic because Jaime Reyes is from El Paso, and El Paso doesn't do Tex-Mex. Let's be real about this. El Paso is more Mexican food than they are Tex-Mex, and so we might not get that. But here's the official synopsis for Blue Beetle, which just dropped earlier today, I believe. When the Scarab suddenly chooses Jaime to be its symbiotic host, he is bestowed with an incredible suit of armor capable of extraordinary and unpredictable powers, forever changing his destiny as he becomes the superhero Blue Beetle. So much of what we're expecting, don't fix it if it ain't broken. Like keep it simple, keep the story what we all know it, to be. And if you ask me, the best version of Blue Beetle was done in Young Justice, the animated series, because the banter and the dynamic between the Scarab and Jaime Reyes is so entertaining. If you haven't seen Young Justice, it's fantastic. Blue Beetle shows up in season 2, I believe. Um, and I just love the way that they did it. It's a little bit like Venom, the current iteration with Tom Hardy, but the Scarab is a little less jokey and a little bit more straightforward. Not very what's it called, sarcastic, kind of like Drax. So think of the Drax as the alien technology, like talking to Jaime Reyes about this new threat that's going to be coming to the planet, and Jaime has to step up and like handle it, stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to it. We're all looking forward to it. Everybody in the chat's looking forward to it. And the good says, will they combine stories and make this version of Blue Beetle friends with Booster Gold? It's a possibility. I
Nice.
I don't believe they've cast a Ted Cord. Maybe that's a thing where like Booster was a friend of Ted's, and Ted actually falls to some sort of threat or something, and then Booster can sort of be a mentor going forward. That could be a thing.
Watch, they're
Uh,
gonna make them a couple and just completely ruin everything.
what are you talking about? Legacy Nurses. That would be interesting though for them to hype up an upcoming universe. That would be nice. That would be nice. We've always
Wrong
found
franchise.
out.
You're talking about Disney. This is DC. Maddie, come on.
We always found out we were watching a universe after the fact. We never really waited for a movie to start a universe. David says, I need to see tacos, menudo, huevos rancheros in a DC film. Ooh wee. I would love that. We all freaked out earlier this year when we are watching Superman and Lois, and they had a quinceañera. Lana Lane's daughter had a quinceañera, and I'm just like, look at us getting represented in a Superman series with a quinceañera going on in a barn of all places. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's
There was no drunk uncles walking around, shouting, fighting. Wasn't real.
Rob C says the blue bulga WTF. David says barbacoa and Big Red in a DC film would be epic. Yes, please. I'm down. Make it happen.
I
We're
got a
all
pop
here
quiz
for it.
for you
What's
and
that?
Maddie. How do
What's
you
that?
say Blue Beetle in Spanish?
I
I
don't
know
know.
blue is azul. I don't know what beetle is in
Yeah.
Spanish.
Escarbajo azul.
There you go. All right. Fantastic. Let's see. Anything left with DC? We've already talked about the Batman Beyond movie. Apparently, one of the leaks involved Michael Keaton's Batman no longer kind of taking over the DC, which I said that was never going to happen. Apparently, though, that wasn't ever the plan, but there was a plan to have Michael Keaton in a solo film where he would actually be mentoring Terry McGinnis. So maybe even a little bit older or aged Michael Keaton would have been in a Batman Beyond movie. That apparently isn't moving forward, which I know is a bummer to a lot of people. But as I mentioned earlier, that could have been a one-off thing. That could have been a separate universe. I still think that's a possibility. The thing that happens a lot is when you get reactions on the internet, a lot of studio executives listen and pay attention, especially a guy like James Gunn. And so, if there's enough reaction to it, it might sway them a certain way. So, don't be afraid to kind of voice your opinion and see what happens going forward. But I think that's gonna do it for our DC Comics talk. We want to hear from you guys. Let us know, what's sort of the thing that you really want to happen moving forward. Do you want to keep the Trinity? Do you want the Batman Beyond movie? Do you want a complete reboot? A complete reboot also might involve Robert Pattinson, depending on how you felt about the Batman. That might not be moving forward after the next sequel. So I mean, keep that in mind. They might want to do a complete overhaul, which means all DC projects. That might even include Peacemaker for a lot of fans who enjoyed Peacemaker. But let us know in the chat what you really want to see happen or what you really want to change. And yeah, if you're listening to us on a podcast form, you can always email us on the contact page of a website at www.countdowncitygeekcast.com. Real quick, I need to touch on a few things regarding our Ghostbusters toy drive. We are just a little bit over the halfway point on our 2022 Ghostbusters toy drive, and we will have a week 2 update this Wednesday night, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we want everybody listening and watching right now to go to our Facebook page after this show's over, because what we really need you to do is support. support Ghostbusters chapters in your community. And the way you can find out who's in your area is by finding this post. It's pinned on our Facebook timeline, and you can actually scroll through it, find your state, find the city nearest you, click on those links, and find a Ghostbuster chapter that's either collecting toy donations or monetary donations for different charity organizations. And you have through December 21st to do so. These are all going to great causes. And if there's not a chapter near you, go to this bottom link here and you can support the Starlight Foundation, which is doing a great event. They are raising funds to uh, create children's hospital gowns in Ghostbuster themed outfits, which is a great thing to do. There's several groups you can actually support by just donating money to those groups, but you could just click the Bitly link there and find that link. Again, our next update, our next stream is going to be Wednesday night, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we really appreciate everything you're doing and supporting us. If you're in the San Antonio area, we have 3 places for you to donate toys. If you're on the northwest side of town, I want you to go visit our friends at Dragon's Lair. They're at Alamo Ranch. That's 151 and 1604 on the northwest side of town. There is a box by the Christmas tree. As soon as you walk in, there's a flyer right above it. Drop any new or unused toys into the box. We appreciate it. Take a photo or a selfie of yourself, post it, hashtag Ghostbusters Toy Drive. We want to see you guys, and thank you for helping us out. If you're on the east side of town, the GameStop at the Forum also has a drop off box. You can go there and drop another box off. If you're sort of in the central side of town area, the Jefferson Community Church has a drop off box as well. Uh, their hours are probably a little not as convenient, but if you're in the central area, the Jefferson Community Church, which is sort of like the Woodlawn area, north side of town. But we really appreciate everybody who's donated so far. It's been a really solid effort by all the teams across the country. We're just really excited that this has really taken off. 40 chapters in 20 states, all across the country, all coming together for a good cause. And we're hoping to make this an annual thing, getting more teams involved, making it bigger and bigger each and every year. And it's going straight to kids around the country who are in desperate need in a lot of cases. So, really appreciate everyone who's been helping us out, who's already made donations. If you want to make a donation, you're not sure what to do or where to go, email us, message us on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, or just find the chapter nearest you, reach out to them and ask them how you can support. And that's just the way it goes. We really appreciate it. Thank you again. Awesome. Next topic actually is regarding a major event that happened this past weekend. The Game Awards happened, and I think it was like the 6th or 7th year running, if I'm not mistaken. And it was another solid show. Lots of fantastic games were in attendance, winning awards. A lot of cool cameos. Um, Al Pacino was there presenting an award, which I thought was incredible. But I want to hear from you guys. Sort of, what was your biggest or favorite moment released? And just to kind of give a few folks at home a few of the announcements, they did talk about the new Ghostbusters game that's coming out, Street Fighter 6. They tease that a little bit. A new Arkham series game is coming out. A new update to Among Us, which is pretty cool. There was a Transformers game that came out of nowhere that people were, harping about. That was pretty awesome. Joe, we'll start with you. What was sort of one highlight of yours that you wanted to call out from the event?
Well, my son, who's about the same age as yours, son, he was actually screaming and yelling, and we could hear him from downstairs. And he was so excited because Elden Ring won Game of the Year.
Game of
You
the
know,
year, baby.
it
Yeah.
was like to him, it was like watching a sporting event. He was so excited about that, and he was excited too that they won. I believe it was the best art direction in a game. So again, he's an artist himself, so he was quite happy with that. And I thought it was an upset because everybody had God of War Ragnarok kind of winning, game of the year, but Elden Ring came in for the win. So good on them, for winning game of the year. And I think I like the fact too that Arcane got best adaptation. And I was really happy
Ooh.
with it because I watched that series on Netflix and I thought it was really well done. The animation and story were top notch, so I really enjoyed that. And God of War Ragnarok, even though they didn't win Game of the Year, they won a lot of other accolades. As far as like I think they got innovation in accessibility, action adventure, best action adventure, audio design, narrative. They were in there. I mean, even score, soundtrack, they won, for that as well. But they just didn't win. They won a lot of other things. They just didn't win Game of the Year. But it really is a really good game. So, they did it right. In other words, the Sony Studios did. But Elden Ring was just on another level, man. I mean, it just lit the gaming world on fire when it came out, and everybody couldn't stop playing it, even though it was ridiculously hard, and everybody was always complaining about the deaths. If you played, you know what we're talking about. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was good overall. I didn't get to watch all of it because I was a little bit busy,
Yeah.
but I watched enough to keep track of what was going on. So I enjoyed it, man. I thought it was a good showing, and it's getting more and more popular where you're getting like these high level actors now that are being called up to present and kind of do their thing up there on stage, and it's more of like a pop culture event now. You even have you know uh, singers up there and everything. So it's like a full gamut of entertainment there. I kind of enjoy watching this a little bit more than I do watching like the MTV Music Awards, you know?
For sure. I think it's going to be, a massive event. Like we're going to be talking about like Super Bowl numbers eventually. If this thing keeps getting bigger and bigger, and the gaming industry keeps taking over as quickly as it is. And also Elden Ring. I thought that was an upset. I was for sure God of War was going to sweep when it came to Game of the Year. But I was surprised, but I was happy to kind of see it happen. And yes, somebody in the chat was making a joke. Oh, Dave Lozano, Bill Clinton is my rabbi. How weird was that when that kid just kind of like crashed the award ceremony? Good on him for letting the creators have their speech and not like interfering with that. That would have been a dick move, but he actually let them finish with it. I thought, it was kind of nice. And then he went in there with the weird stuff. And Jared Rombold is in the chat, keeping us honest, letting us know that 2 more episodes of his Dark Materials just dropped. How weird is that? I didn't think they were dropping
3 and
on
4. Yeah,
Mondays.
they come out every Monday. New episodes come out every Monday.
All right. I could have sworn though, like I checked earlier and like they weren't out, but I guess I
Yeah.
was wrong. He says that I just was hoping I can yell about it. I will stay quiet. No spoiler. My anger is nuanced. Ooh,
I think
some
I know what
big,
he's talking about because I've
some
read the
big
books.
stuff happening.
Yeah, some
Yeah,
big stuff was gonna happen in these next episodes here, and I believe he's referring to Lyra. So I'm gonna watch that right after we're done here.
absolutely. Legacy Nerd says, well, real actors are getting hired to do the mocap for these games now. Nah, no kidding. The lineups for these look like movies with just the number of actors that they're bringing for these projects,
Well, the
and
video
plus
games are
they got
high
the
dollar
money too, right?
productions. Yeah, the video games are dollar productions. I mean, you're talking about spending millions and millions of dollars to get them going, and then hopefully you recoup your money on here, because there's a lot of effort that goes into making these games. I mean,
Yeah,
teams of people working behind the scenes. It's almost like a movie production, but it's all done in the digital world.
absolutely. David Lozano says, just goes to show you can really walk anywhere if you act a part. I guess so. You have the confidence, you blend in, yeah, for sure. Maddie, your thoughts about the Game Awards? What is sort of one highlight that really stuck with you? You want to call out?
Well, there's a couple with the Game Awards, so a lot more than one. I figured Elden Ring was going to take it. God of War entered too late. Um, I'm surprised they actually didn't just hold off because I mean the game just came out. But Elden Ring's an awesome game. But I don't really watch these for the awards per se. I watch it for like the showcase of what's coming next. And Death Stranding was a big one for me. Hideo Kojima revolutionized cinema and video games mixed together with the Metal Gear Solid series. And apparently, he wrote this in a bit of confinement when he was trapped up with COVID. So, any game by Hideo Kojima, I will always tune in for. So, Death Stranding 2, very excited for. Jedi Survivor, I mean, huge. And again, we're talking about paying high price actors to get in this mocap. I'm still waiting for them to bring Cameron Monaghan onto the real screen. He's age appropriate. He's right there. So hopefully we can get him maybe in one of these series we have coming up. Street Fighter's cool, but I've gotten off those types of games. I can't play them anymore. A 3-year-old could beat me in those types of games. No, seriously, like I can't play them anymore. I don't have the ability to do it. But I did
Thumbs
like.
don't work the same no more, Maddie.
Yeah, I do like the new Arkham series coming out, and then there's one with it's not Injustice, was the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
I'm excited about those, but my two major takeaways were Death Stranding, Jedi Survivor, and then I was excited to see the AR game of Ghostbusters, but I don't know if I'm like that hyped on it, to be honest with you. So
VR, yeah.
yeah, so I'm stoked for Jedi Survivor and Death Stranding 2. And if any of you guys have never played a Hideo Kojima game, go back and play Metal Gear, Sons of Liberty 2. Just go back and play some of those games. They're incredible.
You didn't talk about the Legend of Zelda, the Tears of the Kingdom, most anticipated game.
Yeah, well,
Ooh.
Zelda's huge. Zelda's huge, but I wasn't really into it that time. Like I was a Game Boy kid, obviously, but I was so wrapped up into Pokemon Red and Blue and Yellow versions and stuff like that during that time. I didn't really play Zelda. I didn't even play it on the N64. But I
Oh
definitely
man, you missed
understand
out.
its place in the realm. But it just wasn't one of those games that I played.
Yeah, Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time. I mean, all those are.
Ocarina,
Yeah,
love
those
it,
are
love it.
classics.
Oh man,
Ocarina of Time and Goldeneye are like probably the two most popular N64 games of all time.
yeah, man, no
I would
doubt. I
agree with
mean,
that.
yeah,
What
but
was
I'm
really
also a
cool.
fan of Breath of the Wild, so I was looking forward to seeing what they were going to be releasing afterwards. So me and my son are really excited about the new Zelda uh, being released, the Zelda game. He has trouble sometimes with the puzzles, and I'm a big puzzle guy, so I like solving the puzzles. So we kind of work together in regards to that. So
Yeah,
we
that's
we
awesome.
we, we, we help each other out.
I too am a big puzzle guy, and my son is just playing the recently released Hello Neighbor 2, which is sort of
Oh,
like a puzzle
yeah.
slash not a horror game per
Kind of an
se, but
action game. You have
It's
to
it's
kind of.
scary though. It
it
can be
can
scary.
be. It
Like
can
when
have
stuff
some jump
ramps up.
scares and oh yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. It can get very intense, but I like to help him out because I'm like zeroed in on how the mechanics of that game work. Other news, other things that were released, and if you want to check them out, we have some trailers on our social media pages, on our TikTok pages, and if not, the rest you can find on YouTube. Hades 2. There's a new Armored Core game. They also revealed the trailer for a Hellboy game, and it looks just like the comics. And they had the voiceover that sounded like spot on. So very exciting to see what that game's all about. That looked really interesting. And
was
then
that
they
from the
also,
clouds? Was that from the clouds? The
what do you
Hellboy
mean?
game? Like I just don't remember hearing anything about it coming out.
It was
Or
kind of from the clouds. I didn't hear anything about it either. But it got a pretty big ovation when Hellboy took the screen,
oh
and
hell yeah,
yeah, it was pretty big. You mentioned Jedi Survivor.
yeah.
The presentation of that was just incredible. They had like a Bacta tank like on stage, and it was so cool. And I was just like, "Oh, what is this?" It was just the anticipation was incredible. And
That game was
then
so
we
immersive for me.
we can't skip over this topic of conversation without talking about the clips that were released from the Super Mario Brothers movie. And I will say, I will take a little bit of a step back. The clips that we got, I was a little bit more satisfied with regarding Chris Pratt's voiceover for Mario. I know that the trailer really didn't do it justice. The clips that we got, he sounded a little bit better. He sounded more like Mario than we thought when we saw the trailer. So I'm willing to go in with an open mind, but there's still a lot of fans who just will not accept it's not just Chris Pratt, it's just the direction of the voice that they went with. And I think that it's going to rub a lot of fans the wrong way no matter what. But for me, I feel like it's a little bit better than I anticipated. I'm willing to go in with an open mind. Joe, I think you also had some pretty strong criticisms of the voiceover for Mario from the initial trailer. Did the clips make you feel any better at all?
I was trying to stay open and just kind of give it a shot. The clips made me feel a little better, but just overall, this Mario movie has to do better than the original that came out way back in the 80s. Where
100%.
JC don't
100%.
like talking about it. He says it never existed, but it has to be better than that. So overall, I'm still gonna watch it, and I'm still excited to see it.
For
Yeah,
sure, for sure.
it should be good. But I mean, when it comes to the voiceover, it's just again, sometimes we can overstep one way, and sometimes you can overcorrect the other way. I think they just wanted to make sure that Italian Americans didn't feel appropriated with, oh, it's a me, it's a Mario.
Yeah.
But well, it'd be like if like Mario was a Mexican and it was like, hey, Holmes, and it's like you'd be like, okay, you know what I mean? They don't want to stereotype too far. But at the same time, Mario is such a recognizable character and so beloved by so many people. I think it would have been okay to go that direction, but also I'm not really trying to sit through 2.5 hours. Oh, it's a me, it's a Mario. Like it will be easier for me to take in the dialogue if it's not so exaggerated. So I'm
Well,
actually
yeah,
kind of
they got to do that
okay.
for video games. It doesn't translate well into a movie.
Yeah, like I'm okay with not hearing that for 2 hours because I know I'm going to watch this
Yeah,
movie.
same.
Um, and so, getting Chris Pratt is obviously just the ticket play. Chris Pratt's a huge star, and so I'm sure he's gonna do just fine. I'm more concerned just make sure that CG is tight. Give me a really cool storyline. And I don't really know much about the origins of this, or where the film is going. Is this like the first Mario movie?
I mean,
Um,
yeah, for sure.
so
It's
so is he going to like save the princess? Like, is that kind of
Stereotypically, that's how the storyline goes for any Mario game. The
yeah?
princess is kidnapped, and then he has to go and save her. But
but it's 2022, baby,
yeah,
and the
so
princess don't need saving.
we're gonna see if they're gonna
She
do
can
something
hold her
different
own.
with
Yeah, she's gonna have to save Mario now.
Well, maybe she don't need to. Maybe she saves the kingdom. She works alongside Mario to help him, and they work together to save the kingdom. That would make more sense in today's time.
And
And
I'm
a
also
cart scene would be
just
dope.
say what?
A cart scene. We gotta have a cart scene.
Yeah, there's one in the trailer for sure.
Oh, okay,
So
I didn't
we
remember.
are gonna get that. And
Okay,
I'm just joking around too because like come on, Princess Leia didn't really need saving either. She was a pretty much of a badass in her own right. So yeah, Legacy Nerd says Matt's hired as Mario,
yeah.
and this Mario film looks really good. He is hyped. And David says he not only wants you to play Mario, but also play a Mexican. So yeah,
Well,
definitely.
actually, for the first half of my life, I actually was a voice actor, so I can do that for you, David. If you need any of that help, I can do a number of accents and impressions. So just hit me up at Matty B Geekcast. Okay.
Will do. That's gonna do it for our geeky weekly headlines. But real quick, just to do a real quick plug, I had a pretty awesome time over at the 7th anniversary Pop Swap, which was also coinciding with the 40th anniversary of ET, the extraterrestrial. Henry Thomas was in town, and he was meeting with fans. I had a great discussion with him. If you want to check out that discussion with me and Elliot from ET, head on over to our YouTube page after the stream, by the way, at Countdown City Geeks. I also had a chance to talk with Charlie Schlatter, who is a voice actor. He's done a number of things, but most importantly, he's been voicing the Flash and a lot of different animations, as well as the DC Lego movie video games. So check that out. And then a buddy of mine, Raymond, who is been he's may or may not be the sole reason that Judith Hogue ever got into the con circuit. They go way back. They've known each other for a while. He sat down with Judith, who is the original April O'Neil from the '90s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies. Their interview is up on our YouTube page as well at Countdown City Geeks. Please like, please share, leave your comments. We really appreciate it. A lot of events. There's so many things happening this month. I thought like, we're gonna be able to slow down, enjoy the holidays and all that. No, not at all. There's a lot of things coming up, especially this weekend as well. If you're in the San Antonio area, there is a bounty hunter event going down at the Wonderland of America's Mall, the old Crossroads Mall. Daniel Logan, who played um, Boba Fett, young Boba Fett, in episode 2, along with a lot of other stand-ins for Boba Fett, are going to be in town for a Star Wars bounty hunter small convention, if you will, mini convention. If you want more information, go to Social Revolt on Instagram or Kings of Horror to get more information
Yeah,
on
and
that.
he's and just another plug. He's an electric personality. I know David might be one of the other people in here who may have watched the celebration, um, but he is not one of the guys who just kind of sits back and just lets you take pictures. He's a very electric personality, and he has a lot of really funny stories about being a kid on set during these times. So if you're in the San Antonio area, it is worth it to go out there if you're a Star Wars fan for sure. He had some really funny moments on those panels. So go check it out.
Yeah, it's called the Galactic Holiday. It's going to be December 17th and the 18th. Free admission from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. On both days. So definitely, if you can, go ahead and check that out. And Wonderland of the Malls has done a really good job of reinventing themselves. And now they're host to a lot of these events that occur almost on a weekly basis. So you never know what's going to happen from month to month. And for more info, just go to their website and look at their events, calendar that they have, so you can go and see everything that's coming up.
Absolutely. And Dave says the Logan Morrison panel was hilarious at Celebration. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Those guys are great, especially when you get them together. Kevin Quinn says, "What's up?" And Matt, I hope you saw Wednesday episode.
Kevin, I did. I listened to it afterwards. Unfortunately, I was traveling in Houston, but it sounds like you and Ted had gotten together and found a way to make it work for the toy drive and some things that you guys can work on. I also saw the updates on the slime blower pack, so definitely been following that, Kevin. So I've definitely checked it out. Good job.
His slime blow is a huge hit. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody was
Yeah, it's it's,
following it.
it's, it's, it's big on the pages. It's big on the pages.
It's fantastic. Once again, the Galactic Holiday, what they're calling the Star Wars and Galactic Holiday Toy Show, featuring Daniel Logan, Mark Austin, Don Bees, John Morton, and Dickie Beer. For more information, go to Social Revolt Store on Instagram. Our last topic of the night, and apologies for those of you who expected us to be talking about his Dark Materials tonight. We wanted to. It was suggested by JC, but he decided to have a date night. So we're going to hold off on his Dark Materials until JC is at home and ready to talk about it. He is arguably the biggest His Dark Materials fan, next to Joe, of course. I'm not forgetting about you, Joe. Come on, man. But our last topic of tonight is going to be Willow episode 3, the Disney Plus series, and you know how we do. We always start with a little summary, and the summary goes a little something like this. Willow and company catch up to Ballantine and Alora. Kit finds out what a were-rat is. Silas doesn't make it. Willow has had enough sitting on the sidelines, and Jade grants Ballantine a soldier's death. Kind of quick, straightforward, to the point, but I want to get your thoughts on it. Joe, you felt a little bit better about episode 3, didn't you?
Felt a little bit better. It moved a lot better. Story in this particular episode was more well-rounded, for the time slot that they're kind of working with. The first two episodes just kind of felt flat and very forgettable. This one was a lot better, in my opinion. You saw some deaths. You saw a death here and a couple more deaths in this episode, which was, good to see because it's progressing the story, moving it forward. Everything was okay. I mean, I wasn't like, wow, this is the best episode ever. I'm like, it gave me hope to where, you know what, it piques my interest. I'm gonna stick around and see what happens. But then, like Maddie B said, everything's going good. I'm like, okay, I can mess with this. It's okay. Then the credits start rolling. You hear Enter Sandman. You're like, all right, cool. They're just gonna end it at that. No, man. They go ahead and do a full-on cover of Enter Sandman by Metallica. They don't even have the money to actually play Metallica's version of Enter Sandman. And again, like Maddie was saying, it goes with this. It goes in this weird tangent, man. I mean, that song had nothing to do with the episode whatsoever. It makes completely no sense at all to even have this song with this genre of of what you're trying to do. You're setting this into into another world, and the genre is okay. You're in a fantasy world. You're talking about magicians. You're talking about magic. And then you're playing Enter Sandman, and it's a cover at that. No, what are you guys doing? And in that instance, there, I'm still gonna watch, but they gave me a little bit of hope, and then by them doing that, they just like extinguished the fire, the little ember that was left, man. It was not good. No bueno. No bueno.
I I'm gonna check because I don't want to get this wrong, but I'm almost certain that the Enter Sandman song they played was by a trio, all female metal band called The Warning. Follow
Yeah,
them on Instagram. They're some awesome girls.
there's
They've
nothing wrong with
been
the song. It's just like it doesn't fit with the genre. Is what I'm saying.
no, and that's completely fine. I only liked it because I know that band. I've been following that band for about a year now, and they played that version during the trailer for Marvel's Midnight Suns. That was the first time that it sort of got heard, and I want to say that it was the same band. I'm not really sure though, so I'm gonna keep looking to see if it's confirmed. I didn't get a chance to Shazam it. I should have done that. But yeah, shout out to The Warning. Catch them if you get a chance to on tour. I still haven't because they haven't come through San Antonio yet. But they're a fantastic group. Look at me plugging a female metal band on our show. But yeah, definitely. Maddie B, your thoughts on Willow episode 3?
It was all right. Um, Again, we're set in this time. Actually, we've talked about this before, a couple of episodes, a bunch of things that we've watched, and we said I think this needs to be longer. Or it could have been a movie; it would have fleshed it out a little bit better. This is one of those things I think would do really well in the 30-minute format. The 30-minute format, I think, would do this story a little bit more justice. I still don't know that I would love it that much, but I feel like these characters are set. I feel like these are modern characters who got like flashback into time. The way that they speak, their dialogue isn't of, and of course we say back in time. This could be in the future. It's a different world, but the visuals that we're setting, the themes that we're setting, make us think that this is like old and old and old in times.
Middle Ages kind of stuff.
And these characters are talking to each other like they're in the mall. So
It's definitely pulling you out of it.
Yeah, man.
it
You're gonna go
pulls
to Taco
me in.
Bell. Let's go
And
to Taco Bell, Maddie.
I forget what the word for it is, and there was a word for it in film class, and maybe someone in the chat can help me out. But it's when you have a movie that's set in a previous time, but you play music from the future, or there's certain themes from the future involved with that. There's a certain term for that, and I think that's what they're trying to do here, and it really locked it in for me when they tried that Inner Sandman thing. Metallica and metal music does not exist in this place. Okay. There's no reason to do that. And again, that's just the end. So I don't really want to harp on that too much. But I did like that little bit of action. I like seeing Willow get a little bit involved. I like seeing that, you know, we had quite a few deaths, right? I mean,
You
potentially
had an
three.
introduction too, Maddie. Remember you had those two women that were in the
Yeah.
woods, briefly introduced and then dispatched as quickly.
Yeah. Super quick. So, 4 to 5 deaths maybe in this episode.
Yeah. And
But we
one of
don't
them was
know.
Willow's
We don't know
BFF.
about the one. We don't know about the one.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know. Something about the way this show is written, it's not pulling me in. I feel like they're talking like they're in the mall, but we're in this like 16th century setting, and I can't buy into it. I don't like the humor that they're trying to come across with. I don't know. Ted, save me here. I don't want to
It's
be a Debbie
something.
Downer.
What you're saying is something's off. This whole
Yeah,
thing is just not making sense. Something is off. And where the first one I think did a better job of bringing you into that world, this one has not done that as of yet because you're just not believing it. It's off. There's something not right with this series.
yeah. It's just Ted. You're the optimist here. Save me.
Well, I would love to, but I find myself not really engaged in the story, and that's not to say that the story's bad. It's just that I'm not really invested yet, and I feel like part of it is getting rushed. Like we talked about in the first two episodes, Willow is like, we're gonna have to travel to the ends of the earth and cross a
Yeah,
shattered sea and do all this stuff. And it's
yeah,
like we're getting through this land pretty quickly. It feels like
yeah,
I'm not saying we're there yet, but like they got to this castle, lickety split. They caught up to Valentine and Alora pretty quickly. I'm just like, all of this is not going to make me, kind of stick with it anymore. It is a fantasy series, and it's more of like a late 80s, early 90s fantasy series where those things aren't really the focus, times and travel distance and all that isn't a thing back then. It is for people now. Like that's how we're wired now. Now those are things we kind of focus on. But I don't know. I don't really care about these characters too much. I forgot to mention Graydon. Graydon's like marked for dead potentially. I
yeah.
I don't know how that's going to turn out, but I forgot to mention that in my summary. And Graydon sort of takes me. He's the one I kind of believe the least out of all the cast. He's the one that's the least genuine. I don't want to put it on the actor. It's probably, it's I think when it comes to performance, like the director really needs to get out of you what he wants. So the director's like, hey, yeah, that take will work. Then it's kind of on the director in that regard. And I don't find his delivery or anything that he's doing that comes off like extremely genuine. And so for Matt, it's like the dialogue. For me, it's like Graydon's character whenever he's doing something that really kind of pulls me out of it a little bit. Um, the fights were kind of cool. The action sequences were pretty all right. For whatever reason, the last third of this is like completely dark. I had my TV turned like on the
Oh
highest
yeah.
bright setting, and I'm
Yeah.
still like, and it's daytime outside, so I was still having a little bit of an issue
That's an
kind of
HBO
seeing the
Max
full
thing, though,
picture.
right? That's an HBO Max thing, right? Because everything I watch on HBO
No,
Max is
this was
like,
Disney. This is like Disney Plus.
yeah,
This
yeah, you're right. It is Disney Plus. So I don't know what
Yeah,
I'm thinking. I was thinking that for His Dark Materials, I think, right?
yeah, it's kind of
probably.
the hot D. House of the Dragon. Some of the scenes were very dark on
Yeah.
HBO. Yeah.
And maybe they're just trying to make us all buy new TVs, but
Yeah.
anachronistic legacy, that is the word. When you have a certain theme or time frame that the movie is set in, but there's music or dialogue that doesn't fit into that on purpose. Anachronistic. Thank you, Legacy.
David says, never underestimate Warwick Davis. I actually like Warwick. He's kind of the most interesting part of the show. He's just not asked to do a whole lot. The very last moment we got in here, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, I put in my summary, he's tired of sitting on the sidelines. We finally got to see him flex his magic muscle. And
Mhm.
that sounded kind of weird. But yeah, he really, he kind of showed what he could do, and I like that they were holding it back for a little bit. People were kind of like underestimating him or just really blowing him off. Like, look, you can't help us. Like, you're useless if you can't do anything. And so he finally stepped up to the plate. But it does feel like there's reasons why he's not willing to just pull a rabbit out of his hat um, around every turn. It feels like there are what's it called, consequences to using magic either too often or too much in that regard. So I think they'll kind of play with that idea a little bit. So I'm really interested to see how that goes.
I
And
think what
Dave,
happens with the magic is that it uses your life force. So if you use it or you overuse it, you start getting close to death, because it coincides with you using your own life force to power whatever you're conjuring.
is that how they end this? Is that how they end the season, Joe, with Warwick?
You never know. I'm
No,
just saying it's tied in together with that.
pulling pulling a Luke Skywalker at the end of
You
the
might because
Last Jedi.
he's very scared to use it, and I think it's only because he knows he only has so much of a spark left. And if you're using dark magic, you don't really rely on your life source, your life force. You're using more the life forces of other things, other people or other animals.
Yeah,
Something has to be sacrificed.
it's not an unlimited resource in
Yeah,
most fantasy stories. It's a finite resource,
yeah.
and you have to weigh, but that also gives like reason for importance and decision making when it comes into using it, and when to use it. So I like that that's the case. I hate the freaking dialogue in the story, and I know we're saying that because it's a George Lucas product, and he doesn't have the best track record of dialogue. But this isn't George Lucas now.
Right,
Um,
right.
Whoever has taken over this story room, I felt like they had a story for like Mallrats 4, and they set it in this time period. It's just it feels really weird, like Valley Girl sort of. I don't know. I don't like it. It doesn't hit me that well. I don't know.
You like
I
what do
I
you
got
like
you.
least, Maddie? Do you not like Willow, or do you like
No,
dislike more?
the
Uh,
original Willow.
well, I'm saying which series do you dislike more, Willow or Ranks?
I would watch Rings if I was like trapped, I can only watch one forever. I would watch Rings 100% over Willow.
Wow.
100%. And
I did
it's not
not
even
see that coming.
Yeah.
Rings was time appropriate. Rings was written well. I think part of the reason why I didn't like Rings is because I didn't find myself diving into the story just because it was like a first watch and I didn't really care. I could see myself watching Rings over again and liking it a lot, or watching it for a third time and really, really liking it. I don't know if I'll ever go back and watch episode 1 of Willow again, unless there's something in the finale that just makes me say, hey, I need to go back to that first episode because some nuggets were dropped. Um, Rings 100%. It's not even close.
Interesting. Nice, nice, nice.
I'm
Let's
diverse
see.
in my hate. I hate everything, but I'm diverse. No, I spread it out.
Harfoots. The
You
Harf
Yeah.
you really don't. Rob, who was in the chat earlier, he hated everything. You're a breath of fresh air compared to Rob.
Rob really does hate everything, dude. He's not kidding.
David says John Kasdan, current producer for the show. Legacy Nerd says, "God damn Harfoots though." Maddie B with the shocking revelation. Yeah, shocking
Yeah,
indeed.
it's
For sure.
shocking.
Ranks.
Rings is a lot better than Willow. I mean, 700 million more dollars might help, but it's a lot
Yeah,
better.
I don't want to say this is a bad show. I think there's a like I mentioned earlier, like Warwick is really fun to watch. He's really the only thing that really kind of carries me along. I still like not the dialogue, but I like the humor in the show, like for whatever reason, their one liners and their jokes like hit with me really well. So I kind of like all that stuff. The action scenes are pretty cool. The special effects are above par, which is not surprising
I
because
don't
it
know about
is.
those were rats. Were looking kind of rough, man. I ain't gonna
Well,
lie.
they were practical, and you and I both love practical effects above all, computer stuff. So I'm down with the practical effects if they want to keep doing that. Especially the scene where like they're running through the tunnel and like all the eyes were around the tunnel, like kind of following them.
Yeah,
I thought that was
like a
pretty
wave.
clever.
It was like
There
a
you
wave.
go. Yeah, it was for sure. Like the blob going back to the blob days. I don't have any of those like theories going forward on what's gonna happen. It feels a little bit predictable, and I kind of hate saying that. But I'm just kind of going along with it. I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna finish it. I'm not entirely excited about it. I kind of had a little bit higher hopes or higher expectations going for it. But I'm still gonna watch it, and hopefully it'll prove me wrong. But if you're watching, and if you watch the first 3 episodes of Willow, let us know kind of what your feelings are right now. Are you engaged? Are you invested? Do they need to kind of give you more? Let us know in the comments,
For
or
sure. And but please do, honestly, sorry, Jed, to cut you off.
go for it.
But
Go for it.
please do. If you're watching Willow and you're listening to this and you really like it, please tell me why. Because I feel like I need to come into this next episode with a whole new perspective. I think I need someone else's lenses to look through, and it might help me see it a little bit more. And so, please, somebody who likes this show, tell me why so I can use a little bit of new ideas when I go to watch the next episode because I don't want to struggle to the end of this thing. I want to like it. Okay. So, help me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you're listening to us on the podcast form of this show, email us please on the contact page of our website at www.countdowntothegeekhouse.com. Alrighty, that'll do it for this episode. I wanted to call out one last thing, and unfortunately, the website is actually not working for me right now. But Maddie, do we have any new items in our geek shop currently? Do you know of anything that might have been added to it by chance?
I, I do actually, and that ties into the toy drive as well. We just launched the new Ghost Heads radio merch into the Redbubble Geekcast store. Thanks to our man right here, the man behind the magic, has never been more suited for anybody than it is Joe Garcia. And tune in Wednesday, and you'll see a little bit more of that magic as well. But we just launched that merch. Ted, do you have the website? Or are you good?
Stand by.
So, anyways, we're launching this merch. It's our new logo, and from now until the end of December, everything, every shirt purchased, 50% of the profit is going to go immediately back into the Ghostbusters toy drive. So we're going to really try to pump that out and make sure that we're doing the best we can. Not everybody can make it out to a toy drive. Some people still want to participate. We've been pushing this thing for a long time. We have this new beautiful logo right there. I just ordered one myself. I was hoping it would be in by Wednesday for our Ghost Heads radio show. Looks like I'll have to wear it next week. But I got the premium version. It's very affordable, and half of all the proceeds are going to go directly to the Ghostbusters toy drive. So help us out, and do not Google this shirt. Do not do it. We've had some people. There's a few sites out there trying to sell this
Hot.
shirt, and it's not theirs. But please do anything you can to help us out. Joe worked really hard on this logo. He's had to deal with me and Ted making changes left and right, and Joe is doing this out of the kindness of his heart. So we appreciate him. So help us and support the show and support the toy drive. Grab a T-shirt today.
Yeah, this logo was a labor of love because this thing had been a work in progress for many, many months, and we finally found a design that everybody liked. So I was just happy to get it done with it and deliver something that you all really enjoyed and going to move forward with.
Yeah,
Absolutely, we
and
appreciate it,
it's a
man.
difficult thing to do. It's a difficult thing to
Yeah.
do. You are the man behind the magic. That's no, it's never been spoken to or about anybody else. That's a
Oh,
fact.
thanks,
Thank you.
Maddie.
Yeah.
Thanks, Maddie. One thing that we haven't really touched on is we haven't talked about the upcoming National Treasure Edge of History TV series that's going to be releasing on December 14th here on Disney Plus. So maybe something else that we might be talking about. We'll see how episodes 1 and
I
2
love
go.
National Treasure.
I
I don't
do
know if you
too.
should watch it then. I don't know if you should watch it
Maybe
then.
this can replace Willow, Maddie.
Dude, yeah, because we give everything 3 episodes at least. You have to get into it. You have to give everything a fair chance. But I love National Treasure, even though I'm not a big Nick Cage guy. But I love National Treasure. I'm glad that Nick Cage is not in the series, so I'm excited to see kind of how all that stuff got together. And I'm definitely going to be watching it, Joe. So even if
Yeah.
Ted doesn't want to watch it, we'll talk about it.
Ted doesn't even watch
Um,
his Dark Materials. Ted watches some stuff, but he doesn't watch everything.
I'm watching his Arc Materials.
You
I'm
already
watching
watched
it.
season 1 and 2.
I
Yeah, we reviewed it.
I don't remember
So I
Yeah,
hadn't
we
watched
reviewed it. You could ask JC. We reviewed it.
because I remember you had to catch up.
I
I
had to
hadn't
catch up,
watched it
but I did.
at all, and
Oh yeah.
I was trying to. It was like, oh, his Dark Material season 3. Usually, I can watch a couple episodes of something, do a YouTube video, the backstory, and I can kind of figure out where we're going enough to talk about it. But I accidentally started on season 1, so I was trying to watch episodes 1 and 2 of season 3 today, and I watched episodes 1 and 2 of season 1, and I got to tell you, it's boring as hell, Joe. But JC said I had to get to episode 4, so I'll trust JC,
All set
the
up.
expert on
It's
the
all
expert
set
on the
up.
topic. It
It's
felt
it's
like
a tough it's a tough watch,
it felt like Harry Potter a little bit, and it was like
but
Harry
not as
Potter with
interesting.
Animorphs, and like I don't know.
I think
I
it's because me and JC liked it because we had already read the books, so
I
we
think
knew it was
so.
going to happen, and we had a big, we're big fans, and we had a lot of expectations coming in, and the way that it was done as a series, and then HBO picking this up, they did a really great job in portraying the story and the characters and bringing everything to life. So you have to really enjoy this kind of genre of, you know, what you're watching unfold in front of you. If you don't really have any working knowledge of what's going to happen going into it, I can kind of see where you're coming from because you're
It
trying to learn and it's rough the
well,
first four
it
episodes.
just felt like Harry Potter, but never left the Muggle world.
Yeah, no,
Like
I got it.
it was always just sort of on the edge of like I don't know. It was
It's
just
kind of a Victorian kind of thing, kind of steampunk
yeah.
vibe, is what they have.
Oh for sure. But I do like the Zeppelins
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like I like all of that. We'll see. I'm gonna keep watching. We'll figure it out. Anyways,
Real quick, I dropped in our Linktree link. Do not Google or look for the Ghost Heads T-shirt. This is the only place you should be that you want to look, or else I'm not even going to guarantee that you'll get an actual shirt. But you go to this link that I have in the chat right now. It's pinned to the top, and it's going to take you to our Linktree page. And on there, the link for our store is the third one down. Geekcast shirts and merch on Redbubble. Like Maddie said, if you go anywhere else, we can't promise you're going to get a quality product because we're not involved with those people.
You might not even get a
Somehow,
shirt.
yeah, you know how you go to like a sports event and then you go to leave in the parking lot and there's like dudes selling T-shirts out of their trunks and like there's like letters missing from the team name. Yeah, that's what you might be getting if you purchase from those other people. So don't do that. Just use the Geekcast Redbubble page going forward, please. I don't want to get anybody upset by getting a Ghost Heads T-shirt and it's I don't even know see through or like mesh. I don't know what could go wrong, but yeah, don't do it. Awesome. Appreciate you guys watching. That'll do it for us here. Coming up Wednesday will be our second week update of the 2022 nationwide Ghostbusters toy drive. 40 chapters in 20 states, all collecting toys and raising funds for kids in different organizations across the country. If you want to support, be sure to watch every Wednesday or also go to our Facebook page. The first post pinned has all the states and all the cities with Ghostbusters chapters who are involved, and you can support a Ghostbuster chapter near you. If you're in the San Antonio area, we have 3 drop off locations. As I mentioned before, Dragon's Lair at Alamo Ranch, GameStop at the Forum, or the Jefferson Community Church. Those are the three locations you can donate toys. Shout out to Jose from General Kenobi's bunker, who dropped off a box of Star Wars, Halo, um, Power Ranger toys at our Dragon's Lair location. We did a video. We put it up there. Give his Facebook and YouTube page a like for those donations. He's a great guy. And if anybody else is watching, or if you're in the chat and you haven't donated yet, what are you doing? Come on, give us some toys. Anything new or unused, you don't even have to wrap it. You need to go to Animal Ranch anyways because you need to do some Christmas shopping. You might as well stop by the box and drop off a toy donation for the Geekcast and for the Ghostbusters San Antonio and for the Ghostbusters Toy Drive. We're supporting two organizations, the Big Brothers Big Sisters of South Texas, as well as the Child Advocates of San Antonio. It's a great organization who supports kids on the welfare program. Please, please, please spend a half hour driving out to one of these drop boxes, dropping off some toys, and let us know. Send us a comment. Legacy Nurse says, I got all the Ranger toys. Just need to stop by. LOL. We appreciate it, brother. Let us know, man. If you need me to pick them up, I will go pick them up. How about that? If you're busy, you ain't got no time, I will swing by and pick up those donations because they're gonna go to these great causes. Thursday, the WrestleCast will be back talking nothing but wrestling. They had a great time over at the Mission Pro Wrestling event that happened this past weekend. So be sure to check out their stream on Thursday. Next week, we will be continuing our discussion on Willow. We're going to finally start our discussion as long as JC's on the stream with his Dark Materials. And I promise you, I haven't done it yet, but this week we will finally review Black Adam. And that video will go up on YouTube later this week. It's just I haven't had any motivation to review that movie. So
Well, we may as well wait, Ted, because there's going to be some people who maybe haven't seen it yet, but it's going to be on HBO Max on the 16th. So that's Friday.
We'll
So
drop it
maybe
when
like
it drops.
early.
We'll drop the video
Yeah.
by Friday.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
That's what we'll do.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, for the Geekcast, my name is Ted, aka Steady. Be sure to check out my interview with Henry Thomas. It was fantastic. Really enjoyed talking to him, and we have more interviews coming up this coming weekend with the Social Revolt Stores Galactic Holiday event over at Wonderland of the Americas. Come say hi to me. I'll be in attendance, and come check out Daniel Logan, the original Boba Fett. Well, not the original, the child version of Boba Fett. My apologies. For the Geekcast, my name is Ted, aka Steady. Joining me on this episode is the man behind the magic. You know him as Joe Garcia.
Yeah, thanks everybody for watching. And like always, make sure you like, subscribe, and share to the Countdown City Geekcast. And make sure you also check out the other properties that we have here that are part of the Geekcast, which is going to be the Sports Minority with our good friend JC, and also the Countdown City WrestleCast, and of course the Ghost Heads Radio show that is hosted by one Ted and Maddie B here. So make sure you go and like, subscribe, and share to all that. Thanks again for listening and watching.
Yeah, definitely. And I forgot to mention, we're going to be talking about our parade that we were part of on our next episode. So be sure to check that out because we have some photos and some video content as well. Last but not least, my partner in crime, who is going to be soon heading off to H-Town, the one and only Matty B.
Great show, boys.
Great show.
Appreciate you guys. Have a good night. See you on Wednesday. Peace.